Welcome to Half a Point, the podcast that saw a young star absolutely dominate and single-handedly get his team the win. That's right. I'm talking about Nick Dacos. He had 42 and kicked three. What? What? Oh, you thought I was talking about Naz. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, no.
That's right. Yeah, Melbourne absolutely capitulate. Biggest comeback by a team from three-quarter time by the Saints to cap off what was an insane ending to round 20. But this week is our round 21 best picks episode. We'll each be giving our five best picks against the spread. To help me break it down, I am joined by my co-host, Carlton Superfan. Cuss, mate, how you feeling after that round?
But that was such a good round of footy. I feel like all round it was just I feel like every game had something good about it. Most games at least. But yeah, good round of footy.
Yeah, good round. A few blowouts in there, but a couple upsets, I guess, as well. We'll jump into it, but right before we do, as a reminder, please leave a like on this video and subscribe. We're also active on TikTok, on X, and on Instagram, so give us a follow on those. And also a reminder to please gamble responsibly. All right, Cass, let's jump into round 20. Starting off with Hawthorn and Carlton, it was a close one for us. Do you want to break it down for us?
Yeah, I mean, just didn't see much from Carlton in the first half, really. It was sort of, you sort of knew that like Carlton weren't going to get it done for Wheaties and Doc, but they did well to sort of stay in the game after, I'd say quarter time, and sort of, stay within that line and eventually cover. They did kick, the last two goals of that fourth quarter to stay within that line and eventually get the cover. But yeah, it was a decent game. It is what it is. But yeah, moving on. Next up, we had Essendon versus Western Bulldogs. Absolute blowout. Yeah, I didn't think it would be this big, but yeah, 93 points. I think I saw a stat and it was like the total margin for the past two games these two teams have played this year is like 190 or something,
Oh my
180.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah, so a bit crazy. Seems like a weak spot for Essendon, but yeah, Bulldogs pretty much ran away with the game from the start by 93 points. Yeah. Next up we had GWS and Sydney. I was on Sydney for this game. Read it completely wrong. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't say
I didn't
completely
think it was a
wrong. You
bad
know
read.
what? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the first half was actually pretty decent. And I was sitting pretty comfortably, and I wasn't watching the game. I was checking out my phone, and then checked maybe half an hour later, and I thought I was reading my phone wrong.
Yeah.
The score had just completely flipped. So, I guess props to Giants there for absolutely flipping the game in that one quarter. So. Did well there. Giants to come out with the cover and a big win as well there.
Yeah, Sydney probably played a little bit too well in the first half and had a really healthy lead. If they sort of hung
Mm.
around there and it was sort of even the whole way around, you'd probably been more likely to cover because they were in the contest, like they were dominating.
Yeah,
But then the Giants just flipped a switch, and you saw
they
when
got a
that
bit cocky
tsunami.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was so
very
funny
cocky.
the Green and Papley byplay there. But yeah, Giants. Yeah, you can't really stop the tsunami when it starts. So pretty crazy. They end up covering really comfortably in the end. Moving on to
Mm.
Gold Coast, Brisbane. We're both on the Suns plus 8.5. That's what you're gonna trust the numbers here. We know we said last week Brisbane always beat up on this Gold Coast side, but we knew it was gonna turn at one stage. And we bought at the exact right stage for the Gold Coast side. Yeah, end up dominating. Really bad spot for the Lions there. Just days later, then I just not really read into it too much, if I'm being honest. Great performance by the Suns. Fremantle, West Coast. West Coast gets the cover. I was on West Coast plus 50.5. They lose by 49, so cover by half a point. And after this game, I was 13 and 0, like from the last 3 weeks. It was just, I
Yeah.
was like, okay, like that one was obviously a little bit lucky. I don't know, Fremantle quick the last goal, so I wouldn't say it's a backdoor or anything. Obviously a little bit of fortune. It was a coin flip game, could have gone either way, obviously. But yeah, I was just riding a hot hand and yeah, 13 and 0 up until then. But then yeah, we saw North Melbourne and Geelong. Geelong absolutely clinical there.
Yeah, and in particular Jeremy Cameron, he beat North on his own. He kicked 11 goals, which we don't see often nowadays. Like you never see a big bag like that. And all in the media, you're hearing about his race to 100. So that pretty much the only interesting thing about this game, really. It was over as soon as it started. So yeah, did well there. To get 101 point win. So
Yeah,
good, good
huge.
stuff.
And then I was 13-0, and then Port Adelaide happened. We were on Port Adelaide plus the points, and just a terrible, terrible read.
Oh,
It was wet. It was exactly what we said it was, but it just was not close at all. It wasn't one of those classic Ken games. Adelaide just completely demolished them. Really impressive performance by the Crows, man. Like to put up 133 in the rain is insane.
yeah.
Yeah, they just dominated from start to finish. Fair enough. They're really bad pick by us. Richmond, Collingwood. I think Richmond ended up covering. So Collingwood haven't covered three in a row. They get the win, the bounce back win. Obviously, Nick Dacos huge. It's just like I said. But yeah, Richmond. We say they're feisty. They lost, but they're in the contest. Pretty good effort defensively, I'd say. Only putting up 57 points, but still covering. So yeah, could have been a blowout, but they hung in there to get the cover. And then St Kilda versus Melbourne. You go first. You break it down because I have a bit to say about this game.
No, I'm still a bit speechless about this game. Like,
Yeah,
I don't it's such a hard thing to fathom. Like 46 points is huge, no matter what stage of the game it's in. To do that in like the last 30 minutes of the game is crazy. And you saw like after the game how much footage came out of like that centre bounce. You can see like Naz and
Ron
Ron
Marshall.
Marshall.
Yeah,
Yeah, them having a discussion about like what they're gonna do. And like all of Melbourne, you look at the Melbourne players and they're just trying to get back into the square and like figure out how they actually play that out. They completely forgot about like the tactics of the game. And for him to find that space and just execute the kick, firstly from Ron Marshall, just execute that kick
yep,
for a ruckman, unbelievable.
yep,
And then also just to have the composure to take that mark when you're running back that quick,
yep,
insane. But yeah, I mean, and that's just the last 10 seconds of the game.
yeah.
Like it's unbelievable, man.
Mate, I took a shower at three-quarter time. I was like, mate, 4-1, what a week. Perfect read on this Melbourne game. Called it perfectly. I'm like, okay, I've got to go get out of the shower. I clip up that video because I went 4-1 and posted on TikTok and show everyone how smart I am. And then I come back and suddenly St Kilda's mounting a comeback, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. So I break from a betting point of view. If you're on Melbourne minus the points, which I was obviously, just bad luck. Like if you put yourself in a position where your team you have a 45-point buffer at three-quarter time, you're going to win most of the time, so that's fine. Just sometimes just run into these crazy things, whatever that happens. Okay, now I want to talk about Melbourne, bro. The 666. How you can have a 666 infraction, like just having that on the last play of the game. Simon Goodwin should be fired. Like there's no way you can survive that. The other thing I was yelling at my laptop, like the Melbourne mids, why were they near the center circle? Like, even if you're not sure of like the ins and outs of the rule, like this one's pretty obvious. You should know this one. Like obviously, like there's been a lot of talk about the rules and what the actual rules are, which is fair enough because like it's not that happens really rarely. But you should know that like Collingwood did it earlier in the year, I think against Geelong maybe, where that we really spread out the center circle, right? Like you don't have to be right in the center circle. I'll scream at the Melbourne mids to get back at least next to the edge of the box. Like, what are you doing? Also, what the hell is Jack Viney doing on the wing? He's doing he's counting.
Yeah.
Get back, Caminiti. Your direct opponent is where he should be. And again, you alluded to this, but Marshall and Naz, a heads up play, man, to come up with a play in that scenario. Because it, like in my head, like the instinct is, I don't know if it was the same for you, but you just bomb it inside 50 and just hope for a contested mark.
Hope for a
To
mark,
come
yeah.
up with a play where you get the mark right on 50, which is the best place to get the ball. All you need is a shot on goal. That's such a heads up play. It just shows the difference between a poorly coached side and a really well coached side. But yeah, Simon Goodwin should absolutely be fired, not only for the 46-point comeback, but for just as in, yep, the rules around that situation. If you don't know it, that's fine. I'm not banging him for that. But to allow that to happen in the 666 to even happen in the first place, I have no idea how he hasn't been fired yet. I think, yep, sometimes you get unlucky, and Oliver kicks a goal at the end of the fourth, and different story. but I don't know. Sometimes you get unlucky, and I don't know, he shouldn't survive this. But anyway,
Yeah.
obviously I was on Melbourne -2.5 there, or else I wouldn't have spoken for that long. But we'll move on here to round 21. It'll be an interesting round of footy, starting off with the Western Bulldogs versus the Giants. Thursday night game at Marvel. Last time they played, the Giants were 11.5 point favorites at Monica. The Dogs ended up blowing them out by 32. I think we're both on the Dogs that game. This time around, the Western Bulldogs are 14.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
Give me GWS plus 14 and a half. I think, you know, Bulldogs last week, we sort of expected them to just, get the win and get out of there. Or at least I did. But they pretty much gave it their all, and we saw how well their forwards played. I think it was like 13 goals between their two big forwards, which is like insanely impressive. But also we also see how Bulldogs don't really perform that well against the top teams. And obviously Giants, they're sixth on the ladder. They are a good team. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure if GWS can get the win here. But I think they're looking pretty comfortable for the cover here.
Yeah, all week the Giants were in my five. Last night I was deliberating and I took them out, so it's a stay away for me. Man, I know just like you said, this Giants side is, I don't know, it felt like the side to me. I saw the tsunami last week, and like when this Giants team gets on a roll, you can't really stop them. We saw in 2023 when they got on that roll. But then I don't know, all this money sort of started coming in on the Bulldogs here. Like I think it opened at like 8.5, and then it's come all the way up to 14.5 now. I don't know what the pros are seeing. I don't know what the market's seeing. Like, I expect the Giants to be a bit of a public dog. So, but I was happy. I was happy because you see the Western Bulldogs laying this kind of number. They don't cover. We saw with the Adelaide Crows. We saw with Hawthorn. They were laying this similar sort of number, and they didn't cover. But I don't know. I feel like the public's on the Giants. If the Bulldogs don't beat top end sides, but if they do beat a top end side, it is the Giants. So I don't know. I think they're 3
Yeah.
0 ATS in the last three matchups. So I don't know. I'm staying away from it just because I have too much respect for all the money coming in on the Western Bulldogs, but I do lean the Giants. I have bet it.
Yeah.
Moving on to Adelaide versus Hawthorn. Friday night game at the Adelaide Oval. Last time they played, the Hawks were 2.5 point favourites down in Tassie, ended up winning by half a point. I think you're on Adelaide that game, really bad beat because Adelaide really dominated that game. This time around, Adelaide are 16.5 point favourites. Give me Hawthorn plus 16.5 here. I just feel like this is the top of the market for this Adelaide side. Um, I don't know. Adelaide's home favourites have been really good this year. But I just feel like this is a lot of points to lay against this Hawthorn side that I know I've said all year that they haven't really seemed right. So I don't really like them to win this game, but I feel like they can keep it close enough. Like they're good enough. As in the new look forward mix is really good. They have the pieces down back to sort of combat the forwards for Adelaide. I think they're good enough around the ball that it probably be in Adelaide's direction there, but their ball movement is really good. Yep, this Adelaide backline is really sound, but I feel like if any team can penetrate it, it will be the Hawks. They're really good at transition football. So, yeah, I feel like they keep it close here. I just think 16.5 is too big of a number. So, yeah, give me Hawthorn and the points. What do you think?
Yeah, this one was a stay away for me. I was looking at Hawthorn a lot. I almost squeezed them in, but yeah, when you mentioned like Adelaide, top of the market, they absolutely demolished Port Adelaide last week. And when you look at the way Hawthorn plays, they don't really look confidence in their in like they don't have a lot of confidence in their game plan, I feel like. Even against Carlton, I feel like they should have won by a lot more. But they sort of just missed that execution part of it. So part of me wants to jump on Adelaide, part of me wants to go on Hawthorn. So yeah, a bit of a stay away, but yeah, I like the pick of Hawthorn here. So if I had to jump on a team, it would probably be Hawthorn at plus 16.5.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't love it. But moving on to Melbourne versus West Coast. Saturday afternoon game at Marvel. Last time they played Melbourne were 15.5 point favorites, and ended up winning by 32. That was in Optus. This time around, Melbourne are 42.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
Give me West Coast plus 42.5. Yeah, I feel
Wow.
like I feel like it sort of goes to next week when you look at Melbourne, like that sort of comeback against them has a huge mental toll on them, not just like on the players, but like coaching staff, Simon Goodwin, just like everything. And I feel like that's just going to linger in their mind. So even if they do have a decent lead going into like that fourth quarter, they're in the back of their minds, it's just going to have that sort of negative impact from last week. So yeah, I think the mental aspect of it will get me the cover here for West Coast. But yeah, and it's also a pretty big line for Melbourne. I feel like um, we've seen promising things from them, but also they just fail to deliver when they need to. So yeah, give me West Coast here.
Yeah, don't hate it. West Coast's road dogs haven't been the worst. Against Collingwood, they covered. Against Port Adelaide, as road dogs, they covered. So don't think it's that bad. I also would have been on West Coast, I reckon, but I'm just scared that after what happened last week with this Melbourne side, I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking, okay, they're
Yeah.
just going to take it all out on West Coast here. But I feel like a lot of people might be thinking that, so I don't think that West Coast is a bad pick here. Yeah, don't hate it at all. Moving on to Gold Coast versus Richmond. Saturday twilight game at People's First. Last time they played, Gold Coast were 45.5 point favorites at Marvel, and Richmond ended up winning by 11. It was a crazy upset there. This time around, Gold Coast are 50.5 point favorites. Give me Gold Coast minus 50.5 here. Absolutely love this one. I feel like, yeah, it's still big boy month, isn't it? So, I feel like it's a bit of a revenge spot, firstly, for this Gold Coast side after losing to Dimmer's old side in Richmond back in round six. And I feel like with this Richmond side, they've covered three in a row now. I feel like as in this opened at 45, so I jumped on that straight away. All the money's been coming in on Gold Coast, but I feel like we've reached sort of the top of the market almost for this Richmond side. I feel like getting, I don't know, 50 is an okay number, but I feel like it's better than what it would have been a few weeks ago for this Richmond side after they got blown out by the Cats, for example. So yeah, we have seen this Richmond side be competitive, but then we've also seen them lay a few eggs. I feel like this is a perfect spot for them to lay an egg here. So yeah, give me Gold Coast. Laying a huge number, haven't been great at with these big favorites all year. So if you don't want to jump on it, fair enough. But yeah, give me Gold Coast minus 50.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't have much confidence with this one. Like, part of me, I was so close to going on Gold Coast here, but like, just the number is really big here. If it was like maybe less than 45, I'd maybe look at jumping it like a goal less. But yeah, it's sort of hard to find confidence on a big number like this. And also Richmond just sometimes decide to come out and play, so it's sort of like just a guessing game with them. But yeah, stay away from me here.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving on to Sydney versus Essendon Saturday twilight game as well at the SCG. Last time I played Sydney were 8.5 point favorites at Marvel, but Essendon ended up getting the win. This time around, Sydney are 46.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
Give me Essendon plus 46 and a half. Yeah, I think it's also just also like it's a big line again. We saw how Essendon played last week. I expect them to bounce back a little bit. Definitely not calling an upset here. I don't think there's any chance of an upset here, but yeah, I'm putting it out there. Hopefully, hopefully they actually get it. It'll be good. But nah, I just feel like it's a big line for a team like Sydney, who's they've shown signs of like playing good footy, but also you can like, look at last week, they just absolutely laid an egg. Sort of completely lost as well. So yeah, I'm going with Essendon here. And I think yeah, it'll be a pretty good cover here.
Yeah, give me Essendon plus 46.5. This is the one I squeezed in last night for the Giants. It wasn't in my 5 all week, so I've started coming to Essendon as well. Had a look at the forecast, a bit of weather as well. I think it's meant to be bucketing actually. It's hard to score at the SCG as it is. I think the total's at 155, so that's what you want. You want low totals and big sort of handicap there. You want to jump on the dog there. So I don't know. The market's expecting this to be like, I don't know, 96 to 60ish, I guess. So yeah, can Essendon get to 60 points? I don't know, hopefully. But yeah, with this Essendon side, like I feel like, I mean, they were unlucky to not cover against the Giants and then got blown out last week against the Dogs. But who the hell is Sydney to be 46 point favorites against anyone really? Like this is I mean, even last year with this matchup at the SCG, I think. it was Sydney minus 29.5. That was really early on last year when the market hadn't caught up to how good Sydney was. But I feel like this Sydney team significantly worse than that side from last year. And the Essendon side, I know they're banged up, but they are competitive. We have seen them cover on the road. And yeah, I just don't think like they're gonna give up here. I mean, as I said, like it's meant to be a rain affected game. I know Adelaide put on in the rain last week, but yeah, it's hard to score at this SCG ground this season. So we've seen a lot of low scores. Yeah, I just expect it to be a really low scoring game. So catching 46, absolutely love that. So you give me Essendon and the points. Moving on to Collingwood versus Brisbane, a Saturday night game at the MCG. Absolute blockbuster this. Last time they played Brisbane were 10.5 point favorites at the Gabba. Collingwood ended up winning by 52. I think we bet on Collingwood that game. Really good cover there. This time around, Collingwood are 7.5 point favorites. Give me Brisbane plus 7.5 and give me Brisbane to win outright here. That's right. I think Collingwood lose 3 out of 4 here. Yeah, you've seen that with this last three matchups with these two teams, the Dogs won every time. It's just happened to be Collingwood every time. So since that grand final, I think we were 2-0 ATS and straight up last year against the Lions, and then earlier on this year at the Gabba, we covered and won outright as well. This time around, you're getting points with Brisbane. I feel like with these two teams, you just want to take the points here. It's just going to be a close game. I feel like so obviously I'm taking Brisbane to win outright because I feel like they laid an egg last week, and this is a perfect bounce back spot. It's Collingwood side. We've seen the last few weeks like they are gettable. Um, I feel like the market's still catching up. I feel like the public's still going to be riding this Collingwood side based on what we saw earlier on in the year. So yeah, give me Brisbane and the points. What do you think?
Yeah, I like your confidence, mate. I didn't have the same confidence. I wanted to pick Brisbane here. But I don't know. I was just backed out of it, unfortunately. Yeah, I agree with everything you said though. Yeah, it's just the perfect spot for Brisbane. But I just lack that confidence. Yeah, but yeah, if I had to pick a team, it would probably be Brisbane here at plus 7.5.
Yeah, fair enough. Pros Joe's game, I think. Moving on to
Mm.
St Kilda versus North Melbourne. Sunday afternoon game at Marvel. Last time I played St Kilda were 35.5 point favorites, ended up winning by 38 in Marvel. This time around, St Kilda are 24.5 point favorites. We're going with this one.
Give me North Melbourne plus 24.5. Yeah, I think it's when you look at it like this, I think St Kilda there's just room for them to regress so much. Like this week. And usually with the bad teams, they don't they don't really beat up on them that much. Whereas like, they like to spoil the finals chances of like the higher end teams. So, and also North Melbourne, they just need to bounce back from last week's performance. It was not what you want to see, losing by like 100 points. I feel like that would have stretched out the line a little bit. So yeah, I expect North Melbourne to cover here. You?
Give me North Melbourne plus 24.5. Absolutely disgusting pick, but you have to go with this. Yeah, I mean, North Melbourne getting blown out at home last week by the Cats, and then you see St Kilda team, see Naz on Ross Lyon's shoulders partying on Sunday
Yeah.
night. So you feel like it's a little bit of a letdown for the St Kilda side. We like to back them as dogs, but fade them as favourites. So this is the perfect spot to fade this St Kilda team. Coming off a North Melbourne team is desperate to put on a performance. I think outside of last week, like North have generally been more competitive this year, I'd say. We see they haven't like when it's a great spot for them at Marvel. They haven't covered like I'd say last week, and then the Sydney one earlier on in the year, and a few others as well. Just that Melbourne game really in round two, I think, when they covered at Marvel. But I feel like the public's just sold on this North Melbourne side. So I feel like now's the time that we're buying low on this North Melbourne side. Could they absolutely disappoint us here? Absolutely, man. Like they don't defend at all. But you just have to make these gross, disgusting plays. There's going to be long-term winners. Public's going to be the St Kilda after what they saw last week. Pros are going to be in North, I reckon. So yeah, give me North and the points. Moving on to Geelong versus Port Adelaide Sunday afternoon game at GMHBA. Last time I played, Geelong was 6.5 point favourites at the Adelaide Oval. End up blowing them out by 76. This time around, Geelong are 48.5 point favourites. Stay away from me. I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot of points, isn't it, to go with this Geelong side? But um, I don't know. They've been pretty good as home favourites. But you could also say it's a pretty buy low spot for this Port Adelaide side after getting blown out in the showdown last week, and they didn't cover the week before as well. So stay away from me. Not much of a read. What do you think?
Give me Port Adelaide plus 48.5. Yeah, I think I
Ooh.
just bite the bullet on this one. I feel like you sort of expect Port Adelaide to bounce back here a little bit, but also it almost felt like they were just checked out last week. Like there was didn't really see much effort. And that's what I'm hoping like they bounce back from. Maybe they just put in a little bit more effort. We're coming into the last few games of Ken, so maybe they can put on a show for him, but yeah, I don't expect them to win at all, but surely they can do something to cover this line here. Keep it below like 30 points or something. But yeah, give me Port Adelaide here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. It's a lot of points. Moving on to Fremantle versus Carlton. Sunday twilight game at Optus. Last time I played Carlton was 6.5 point favorites at Adelaide Oval in Gather Round last year. I don't know if you remember that one. So one where Carlton got two like the double goal I think at the end, and they looked dead for the cover and ended up
Yeah.
covering. So it would have been brutal if you're on Fremantle plus 6.5. This time around, Fremantle are 32.5 point favorites. Where are you going with this one?
The stay away for me. I think yeah, it's sort of Fremantle will come out and play some really good footy, and I think they're in some good form at the moment. And then you look at Carlton, you just can't read Carlton at the moment. Like I feel like this whole year, there have been moments where you want to jump on them and they just let you down.
But they're on a covering spree, two in a row.
That's the thing. Yeah, so mate, two in a row is huge for this team. So I wouldn't blame you if you go for Carlton here. Nah, but if I had to pick a team, probably go with Carlton, just based off of previous history. They like to keep it close. But yeah, no confidence with that one. Just to stay away.
Yeah, stay away from me as well. I really want to be in Carlton as well, but I don't know, man. I just don't want to play this Carlton side. I feel like we
Yeah.
got the cover last week, so we're pretty lucky. I feel like Carlton, I don't know, if you want to play a bit of money line because crazy things can happen, I don't hate that. But I feel like it's either money line or they get blown out here. See this Fremantle side, like I know they didn't technically cover last week, but they blew out the Eagles. And then they just came off beating Collingwood. So I feel like you're reaching the heights of the market for this Fremantle side. Could be a little bit of a danger game. Be interesting to see if Carlton can pull off the upset. The ramifications for the eight for Fremantle. Again, it would just be so Fremantle for that to happen. But
Mm,
yeah, don't have enough confidence on this in this Carlton side, so gonna stay away
yeah.
from it as well. All right, that wraps up our round 21 picks. Run us through your five, Cass.
Yep, so we've got GWS plus 14.5, West Coast plus 42.5, Essendon plus 46.5, North Melbourne plus 24.5, and then Port Adelaide plus 48.5. What about you?
Five dogs again for you.
Yeah.
I've gone with Hawthorn plus 16.5, Gold Coast minus 50.5, Essendon plus 46.5, Brisbane plus 7.5. Absolutely love that one. And North Melbourne plus 24.5. So it's been treating me well. Four dogs and a favorite. I feel like once I went back to my principles, it's been treating me well. So yeah, going with that. Absolutely love it. Final thoughts, Cast, before we wrap up here.
Yeah, let's see if we can back the same week up of footy like that we had last week, mate. Hard to top, but yeah, just hoping for some good clashes here, especially Brisbane Collingwood.
That's right. I forgot to mention we both went 3-2 last week. So
Yeah.
um yeah, we both went 3-2. We say pros want to be you want to be 56% against the spread because pros go 56%. I think you're just under. I think you're 49 and 51, and
Mm.
I'm 56 and 44. I'm right there. I'm exactly 56% after 100 games. So that's exactly what we do. We just want to go 3-2 every week. So a couple of 3-2 weeks this week, and we'll be really happy. As a reminder, please leave a like on this video and subscribe. And until next time, see you later.